Good day, good day, good day. This is Mr. Anderson. Wanted to talk about something that happened and how it affected me as a parent and the values we really instill in our children. I hope he's not embarrassed about this when he comes back and look at it. But I took my son, my 11-year-old, to try out for a baseball team. Mind you, he's never really played baseball for a team. We've played catch, and I was in the process of teaching him how to play until things happened with my life and had to put a little bit of that on hold. Yet I got what information I could about it. But when I found out it was for the middle school team, and it was the 6th, 7th, and 8th graders that were playing. And he was nervous about it, but he knew a little bit about baseball. I've played catch with them, and we had a wiffle ball, and I've taught him a few things about catching and stuff, and me and him throwing the ball back and forth together. He's had a little bit of experience, and he has a natural ability for it because of me. I've taught him, and that y'all know me, I played baseball from 6 to 16, all-star teams, and wish I could have really kept playing, but anywho, so I took him, and he was nervous, and I can tell his nervousness, and we got there super early, and got him up, and he was just nervous, and everything, and so we're sitting in the car, and we got there early, we seen the coach, and the coach was there, first one there, and then we're sitting in the car and talking and laughing and having a good time and just being him. And then some of the kids started coming up after 30 minutes of me and him sitting there. After 30 minutes of me and him sitting there, I told him to get his shoes on and everything. And so when those kids start rolling up, it's what I figured. It was for the school. I didn't know it was really noted for the school. I thought it was just for a team, for like the community team, but it was for the actual middle school. And so of course those kids that came up, it shocked me, and seeing those kids come, and they had their travel bags and 2 baseball bats and gloves and a couple pair of cleats and a couple gloves, and I'm just like, wow, they had the hats on and the baseball pins, and like they came suited and booted, and it was intimidating. It was intimidating, and I can see that in him, that he was intimidated by it. And because he didn't have all that equipment and the fancy stuff, so the more and more the kids came, the more and more he started his he lost it. His nervous system went into overdrive, and he got to thinking about them bullying him and talking about him and stuff, so he got to crying and hyperventilating and stuff. So I told him to blow bubbles, which I always tell my kids when they're nervous. New thing that we do is when my son gets all my children, when they get overwhelmed or nervous or scared, to blow. But I always do it to my young ones, and I'll tell them to blow bubbles, like And it's just cutest little thing that my daughter does, and my son. I was like, y'all blow bubbles. So that's what I was telling him, to blow bubbles, blow. And of course he kind of calmed down, but it was just, his nervous system went crazy. And he just was like, Dad, you know, and I calmly told him, I was like, you don't have to do this, Kenneth. And I was looking at it like, I didn't want him to get hurt. It wasn't a failure, it just, I didn't want him to get hurt. Them kids were experienced. And so I didn't want him to get out there and get hurt, because he's never experienced those drills. And I know baseball drills, I know baseball stuff. I know what we did when we played and how we lined up and stretched and the ball coming at you. He didn't have any of that experience yet. All we've done is throw the ball back and forth together. Pretty much, that's really all we did. I think we did do a little bit of a batting, but it was like a wiffle ball. It wasn't a real bat and a ball. So I told him, son, you don't have to do this. And he was like, no, Dad, I can't do this. And I'm like, yeah, I said, it's okay. Like, it's okay. And after he calmed down, and we sat there for a minute and talked. And when I talked to my mom called my mom helped calm him down a little bit. Did I call my mom? No, we had called her before that happened, and she was telling him, yeah, don't worry about that. Them kids with all that equipment, they don't mean nothing. Like, it don't mean nothing. You know, they could be good or they could be bad. It's because they dress, the dress, it don't mean nothing. And she got to telling him about how me growing up, we didn't have the fancy stuff and all the fancy clothes and the fancy shoes and all that fanciness, but we were the best on the field all time. We probably was the best in our park. We was probably the best in that whole park, because I had played for so long and just got better and better and better. And just sitting there with him, it just made me realize some things, and it kind of got me emotional a little bit after the fact. Later on, when I got home, it's just like, man, you know, that's my job, is to protect my children and to give them a time to be children and want them to be enjoying who they are and grow. And, you know, a lot of that I missed with him and my oldest, you know, because I was working, driving trucks and trying to provide stability for us. And, you know, we as men, you know, it's a choice to make. It's a choice. We are to be providers, and I felt like I wasn't doing what I'm supposed to be doing, especially with my situation that's going on and everything. Me starting over and all that. But anyway, that's not about me. It's about him and just his thoughts about it, and he thought he was going to be bullied, and the nervousness about it. And I don't think it was more or less that he didn't want to try. I think it was more of the appearance of those guys was intimidating, and he was already nervous because he's never done anything like that. You know, he's never done anything like that. He played a little soccer, but he was younger. Now he's older and experienced some things. It's different for him. It hit him different. And after he calmed down, and I told him, like, man, it's okay. You know, you tried. You know, you want to try. You really, I'm proud of you for actually wanting to act. We're here. You know, you here. You're not saying, no, I don't want to do it, and you didn't even show up. You showed up. You showed up. That's the start. For somebody that had never played baseball, played on a team, you know, that willingness to try to show up. And I told him, remember those feelings. Remember that feeling that you had, and understand that feeling, you know, and let's talk through it. And that's when he got to talking, me and him got to talking through it. And he was saying that he was scared and nervous, and he thought they were going to be bullying him. And I talked about it. I was like, man, look, that's my job. Somebody bully you or somebody say something, you come to me. You know, you walk away and you come to me. You remember who they are, remember what they are, and I will come up to that school and I will talk to them. If I got to talk to their parents, I will talk to their parents about it. And happily talk to their parents about bullying my son, bullying children in general, or talking about kids that's not experienced. Yes, we can have that discussion. I said, that's what I'm here for. You don't worry about that. You be a child and enjoy and yourself and do that. I'm here for you. And I'm proud of you. So we didn't leave, and I was like, let's go up here and sit at the fence and watch. I was like, we're here, I want you to see this and everything and understand and talk through it. And we got up there as they signed in. Kids were signing in, and the more and more would come. You could tell who played and who didn't. Well, who played them? All of them played. All of them played. All 20, 21 kids, 22, about 22 kids played. There was only one little boy that came that didn't have the fancy stuff. It was one. He had his glove. He had a backpack, but it wasn't the fancy backpack. It was a regular backpack, and he had his shirt and some basketball shorts and his cleats on. You know, it was just one little boy. Out of all the rest of them they had, and you can tell some of the kids, like, they actually played for the middle school. And so after they signed up and they did their stretching and then they got a line and they was throwing the ball back and forth, and I was talking to him, that's what they're warming up. I was explaining to him what they were doing, and then they all lined, and then they split up in the outfielders on one, and then the infielders on the other side. The infielders on one side of the field and the outfielders on the other side of the field. And what I was scared of, the infielder, he don't know none of that. He don't know how to get a ground ball. He don't know. He can probably catch a pop fly, but they was running and having to catch the ball. So I was like, yeah, this is one of the reasons I didn't want him out there to end up getting hurting himself and not experiencing that stuff, you know, cause him to injure himself. So I was showing, letting him see it, and he noticed some things, which he's smart. He noticed them. He was like, they were giving each other high fives, and he was like, yeah. I said, yeah, they probably know each other. They all know each other. They all probably played baseball or something together, and they're comfortable with each other. You know, you don't know any of these people. You don't know any of those guys because you've not been around that atmosphere. And we sit there for a minute, and we was watching them do the drills and just to get an understanding of it. And he was calm, and it was a comment that someone made that I really didn't like. They said that, I'm not going to say who, but they said that, well, I'm glad that he didn't get out there and make a fool of himself on speakerphone for him to hear it. And that really made me upset. And I seen his face just said it all. He's like, it brought that emotions back. And then we're like, well, I didn't mean it like that. I didn't mean it like that. And I'm like, well, it's too late now. You gotta, but everybody's reality is different. When you're around people that don't know how to talk, or people that don't know how to use the right words, especially when it comes to children, you know, it's sad and it's upsetting and it's hurting, and it feel like, you know, it make me feel like I need to not failing as a father, but I need to do more. I really need to do more. That's one of the reasons why I started a business, and I'm creating and I'm doing the things that I can do to help me better myself and my understanding of myself, and make some extra money to where I can be with my children more. I can be around my children. I can interact with them more. I can have more involvement in their activities. Because I remember my mom, doing it. I remember my dad and my stepmom going to our games, and one of my good friends, two or three of my good friends, they were in their children's football games. And one of my good friends, TC, he's always been the father, the traveling dad, and taking his kids to AAU games and put them in the football leagues and stuff, and pushing the kids athletically to be the best that they can be, because that's in our background. That's athletics to me builds a lot of character. It builds a lot of self-awareness. It builds a lot of strength and ability. That builds a lot of that stuff. And we'll talk about that. Y'all see my growth through sports. I think sports has brought me where I am, in a sense. Everybody find that, but I guess I'm biased when it comes to that, because I know any kind of clubs, I think clubs will bring that out, because you're around other people, you're getting direction, you have to follow direction, you have to do things just instead of just going to school. It's that extra activity, extracurricular activities that really builds character. And that's what my son wants, because where he lives, there's no kids. The neighborhood that he lives in, there's no children over there. So he's just sitting at home, not doing nothing. So I have to find a way to make it to where I am available for them. Because I know they're a product of their environment. And I don't want him to be that product of that environment that he's living in. His staying with his grandparents and mom. But I know everybody's different, and I'm not trying to down nobody. I'm not trying to be disrespectful to anybody or whatever. It's just things that I realize and I see in my life growing up, and the things that I see and what he tells me that he wants and needs, and that's what gives me my understanding and reasoning for what I want to do for him and do for all of them, all for my kids. But he was very, very apologetic. He told me later on that he felt bad and he felt like he disappointed me, and I had to stop him. Like, no, son, you showed up. All I want you to do, if you don't do nothing, is try. That's it. I don't want you to be that, coulda, woulda, shoulda, what if, because I tell people I can what if to death. But actually doing it and trying it and seeing it, that's how you learn yourself. And y'all know me, I'm about self-intelligence, SI. I'm all about learning yourself. That's my whole system, is about learning yourself, learning who you are, learning the way you move and function as a person, as an individual, using your past experiences and your environment growing up to learn and understand about who you are, who you want to be. I'm all about that. So that's why I told him that's the best thing you could have done, is to try to be out here and look. And that's how I learn. That's how I learn things. It's how, by watching other people, how they do things. Oh, okay, that's how you do it. Especially if it's something I don't know. With all the technology we have and stuff, you can Google, YouTube, different things to learn how to do it. But you putting in the work and the effort to do the research in it. And that's what I was telling my 21-year-old last night. Like, you got to, it's the talk and the flashy, that don't mean nothing. Don't mean nothing to me. But don't mean nothing. Show me you know what you're doing. Show me. I judge your energy and your effort. That's what I judge from here on now. If I don't see the energy and I don't see the effort, you're not trying. Bye. I'll see you later. It's about show me the money. Show me the money. Show me. And him doing that, I was so proud of him. And I told him all the other stuff we can work on. Your emotions, your feelings, how you felt, the fear of being scared of being bullied. We can work on that. That's my job as your dad, is to protect you, is to be there for you. Be there when you need me. Call me and talk to me about anything. And I know me, I got to get better at communication. I know that's one of my things, is communicating with my children, really. And we all can do a little bit better, because we all have, we work these hours and traveling back and forth to work and trying to cook and clean and take care of household. You get exhausted from all of that. And it causes you to have not a neglectful, not being somewhat neglectful, but it's a word that I'm trying to create or think of, but it's just you're not realizing that the impact that it will have on our children. But yet we still need to have our time as parents, and the children still need to have their time as children to understand certain things and to rest for one. So it really made me miss my children even more, and really hating my situation that I'm in and that I put myself in. I'm not gonna say put myself in, that has happened. Let me say that has happened. Sometimes the best thing we can do is go away and focus on ourselves. And y'all, as I said earlier, I'm about self. It's not a selfishness it's a selfishness of growth and understanding who I am and what I want, and I'm not allowing no one to change, who I am or want a lot more than you're giving. No. We have to learn to work together in things and understand people's realities and directions and purpose and all that. And if you're not aligned with what I'm trying to do and where I'm trying to go, then it's not going to work. It's not going to work. And that's what I tell my children, like, man, y'all just find out who you are, what you want to do with yourself, who you want to become. Learn that. Enjoy being a kid and enjoy being you. Enjoy being, learning and having friends and figuring out life, because the times have changed, and we all know that the times have changed. But like I said, I won't go too long on it. Yeah, it just really kind of did hurt me a little bit, and it just made me realize things that I need to continuously do and push and create and do, so I can be there and have better time management to where I'm able to be available for all my children and give them the opportunities that I had. And I called my mom and I thanked my mom. Mom, thank you. And I really didn't know that it was her who put me in sports. It was her idea. I thought it was my dad's idea. It was my mom. She was like, nah, I signed y'all up. I was the one that put you in it, but way before anybody else did, because you had all this energy, And I was like, wow, Mom, well, thank you for having. She said, my mom said the same thing. My mom was like, she didn't get the opportunity to play sports. Her parents wouldn't let her play. So she didn't want to take that away from us because she wasn't able to do it. So she wanted us to do anything and everything that we wanted to do. And I was just like, exactly what I want for mine. I want them to be able to experience that life and that having fun and playing sports, because I'm still a product of that now. I get on the basketball court and I can hoop. I can go out there and play baseball. You know, I can run, I can walk, I can do those things. You know, and it's a part of my life. It's a part of my being. It's a part of me. My body is built for that now. And people look at me and that's the first thing they say, man, you play football? Did you play football? Yeah, not at that level, but I maybe could have. But anyway, but that man. I really, that really pushes me to motivated me to be able to continue doing what I'm doing and pushing enter and pushing accept and doing things and creating things and making sure that I'm able to give my children all that they want and then some in a productive way, learning way. This is Mr. Anderson, and I approve this message. Y'all be easy.